So I'm here on Stadium where the crews continue to put electrical lines onto the newly in place power poles. When they got here, the poles were snapped and literally leaning on the electrical lines. Now, I spoke to a city official. They identified two different spots where we had some electrical issues. The first, obviously, being here on Stadium Boulevard, and the other on Hunt Ridge Drive. Now, I spoke to crews at both locations. The good news is all the repairs should be done by 9 a.m. Now, if you're concerned about driving, there's no debris on the road. I spent a lot of time pursuing this story this morning, so you should be good to go there. Live in Columbia, Chris Joseph, KOMU 8 News.
Planned Parenthood, the NAACP, and 10 other organizations rallied together today at the state capitol to protest the General Assembly's agenda. They say the General Assembly has proposed bills which discriminate against minorities and women. Part of the concern is a bill in the Senate which would regulate where fetal tissue goes after a miscarriage or abortion. A Planned Parenthood rallier said it was a question of faith and choice.
I'm holding the discussion points given to the volunteer lobbyists here at the Capitol. Among them includes zero tolerance on bullying, suicide prevention training for teachers, and all-inclusive gender bathrooms. Now, their efforts come at a time when Senate Bill 98 is currently working its way through the Senate Committee on Education. If passed, the bill would require all students to go to the bathroom of their required biological sex.
I spoke to supporters and critics of the proposed Real ID legislation. They say some form of it will probably pass on Friday. Now, the House and the Senate have passed versions of a bill which would ask Missourians to pick between Real ID driver's license and the current format. Getting a Real ID driver's license would allow Missourians to use them at airport security. Keeping with the current format would require Missourians to use a passport even on domestic flights. An opponent of Real ID says he is against big government regulation.
We end tonight in North Philadelphia, where students are steering their lives in a new direction. Cinnamon Cornell has more. Great story, Cinnamon. Thank you. This fall, Lizzie and Jose will have a new boat builder at their sides, their younger brother. That's it for the CBS Evening News. I'm Chris Joseph. Good night.
The next chancellor will not be named until March of 2017 at the earliest. That's when Moon Choi officially takes over as system president. The St. Louis Zoo is nearly finished replacing nearly $200,000 worth of observation windows at the orangutan exhibit after one of the apes broke 4 of them. Zookeepers say orangutan Ruby had banged rocks on the glass for months hoping for treats. Thanks for watching. The Today Show will be right back.
New apartment complexes are still getting built in Columbia despite a decrease in enrollment at MU. KOMU 8's Chris Joseph tells us what this means for the apartment market and what the future holds.
On 9th Street and Locust, on 5th Street and Turner, new apartment complexes are everywhere.
For a while, there wasn't a lot of money to be made. The places were all full, rents were high, so it made sense to build. Now, it takes several years from, the idea, the concept stage until the final, kids move in. So in that time period, the market shifted.
In the last year, the university has closed 4 dorms due to decreased enrollment.
This past fall, total enrollment in Mizzou was down 7%. The new freshman class was 22% smaller than its predecessor in 2015.
The increase in complexes has created a buyer's market with extra perks for leasing.
We got like a few $100s when we signed, just like up front.
I get to have parking and a single apartment downtown for $380 a month, so very good deal.
The official numbers for MU's 2017 enrollment do not come out until May. Until the numbers rise, apartment complexes will continue to compete with incentives.
They expect gift cards, they expect a lot more of those rental concessions that you don't always need in other markets, but it's because they have so many options.
Going forward, student housing projects may slow down.
Smaller projects that, when they are built, maybe more mixed-use projects, ones that are not so dependent on students, because that market, like we've talked about, is maybe shrinking or at least stagnating.
Chris Joseph, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
The apartment complexes we talked to have not let any workers go. They're now budgeting for any income decreases from their corporate offices.